Today's video, we're going to talk about Google store ratings and how you can use these little golden stars that show up underneath your ad on Google search ads to increase your click-through rate by a good 30%, as I'm going to talk about with the case study that I'm going to share where we did this for a plumber and just how we did it. So stay to the end of the video for the actual numbers on that case study, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get these stars to show up. And this isn't ultimately just for e-commerce companies. This is for service companies, e-commerce, doesn't matter what type of company you have. You can get the golden stars to show up underneath your ads, and it's ultimately not that hard to do. Any of you guys, and yes, you too can do it for yourself and get this increase in click-through rate, of which, if you don't know how significant a 30% increase in click-through rate is, it is huge. There's very few things you can do with your ads outside of the normal easy stuff get your click-through rate to go up this much, ultimately. Even if it goes up by 10%, which it could, I'm not gonna promise you 30%, but even a 10% increase in click-through rate means not just a 10% increase in sales at the same ROI you would normally get, it would be a 20% increase in profit. Why? Because when your click-through rate goes up, you earn multiple ways. You earn specifically by getting more market share or click share directly. More people clicking on the ad means more sales. But also, in addition to that, you get a lower cost per click because it's going to increase your quality scores, which directly drops your cost per click, which means you can afford more clicks at the cost per click that you know is profitable to your company, that will deliver an ROI that you know you need for your company to be profitable. You're also going to have Google sharing and show your ad more often than they would otherwise. That is, the higher the quality score you get, the higher the search impression share you get, or higher the percentage of time that your ad gets shown for your keywords and in front of the people that you know are profitable already. You also have Google that will want to, when this happens, show your ad higher in the list on average. Show more site links, which makes the ad bigger and therefore want to and would contribute to an even higher click-through rate. So all of these different things happen once you get your click-through rate up. So anything that you can do to get your click-through rate up will actually make your profit out significantly higher because it's going to compound with all those other effects added in. So before that matter, this is a very simple two-step process though to get the ad stars to show up on your ad. First of which starts with, if you have Google business profile ratings, that is on Google Maps, your Google business profile, if you have stars there already, okay? All you have to do is start up a Birdeye account. Yes, this costs like $300 a month, and you could go the alternative method here, but you could take that Birdeye account and import your reviews from the Google business profile into Trustpilot, which Trustpilot pays attention to the reviews that you got in Trustpilot to decide what gets shown on these stars here. Right? Why doesn't Google look at their own Google business profile to decide if these stars show up or not? I have no clue. I could not tell you why that is. What I can tell you is they do look at a good 30 different review sources, Trustpilot being one. If you want the actual list, just Google store ratings and you'll find Google's resource article on this. If you need help finding it, leave me a comment below. But what they do is they crawl these 30 different review sources to decide if your store rating should show up on your ad or not, of which the Google business profile reviews you got do not count as one of those 30, so to say. The reason why I bring up Birdeye is because most people they focus most of their energy to get reviews that they have from Google Business, their Google business profile. Why? Because it shows up so prominently on Google when you type in your brand name. If you're an e-commerce business, maybe you don't focus on that. Maybe you just focus on Trustpilot reviews. Well, in that case, you don't need Birdeye. So Birdeye just makes it easy to take all the reviews you got on your Google business profile, immediately port them over to Trustpilot. All at once, it'll do it for you. And then now you have what you need to get the stars to show up. Given that, you need at least 100 reviews on one of these 30 other review sources itself. So you need 100 ultimately from all the places you got reviews. So if you got 25 from Trustpilot and 25 from FIPO. That actually would mean 50 altogether. So it's not 100 in any one place. It's just 100 overall in general, so to say. You can use Birdeye to transfer over those reviews to a place that Google will scrape them from, or you can just get reviews in one of those other places. One way or another, you need at least 100 reviews. Then also, you need step 2, which is you turn on the store ratings for Google Ads. At the account level, your account level ad assets, there's an actual thing there in the advanced settings that asks you if you want to turn on store ratings or not. Generally speaking, that should be on by default from what I found. Okay? So, but at the very least, just check to make sure it's on. That way, going through all this work, your stars will show up as quickly as possible. Now, there's also, so that you know, a way to know if Google has the reviews or not that will require you to, and that you need to get the stars to show up on your ads. And so if you search for Google store ratings and find Google's resource on this topic, there's a test URL that they give you, and it's like google.com/yourdomain.com. What you do is you take that URL and you put in your URL, and then what you get when you go to that URL is a page that has there either no reviews or all the reviews that it's got for one of these 30 potential review sources. And so with that said, it'll tell you whether you got it or not. Now, what we've experienced is, even if you start up a Birdeye account to take all your Google Business Profile reviews, send them over to Trustpilot, which, by the way, when I say send over, it's not going to, you'll have your Google reviews. You'll just also have those same reviews on Trustpilot now. If you do that, it will take oftentimes like a month for the reviews to show up in the test link, which if they're not in the test link, you're not going to get your stars to show up on your ads, bottom line. Well, what a lot of guys will do is they'll say, okay, we already got the Birdeye account. Why aren't the stars showing up? Well, it's because the test link doesn't have all the reviews yet. And until it does, you know that the stars can't show up, and you got to be a bit more patient. And of course, if they don't show up, you can go to Google support forum and you can just ask them, why are they not showing up? And then you can work it out that way. Generally, you're not going to have to do that though, so to say. Now, also, if you're wondering, what are these 30 review sources that Google checks for reviews from? Well, with that same, I keep going back to the same resource article. Google has the article that Google has about store ratings. You go there and it has all 30 of them there listed there. So you can find out if you got 100 across all those 30, or do you need to have some more? Now, generally speaking also, store ratings are different than seller ratings. Google seller ratings are the stars that show up underneath your shopping ads. So if you got a shopping ad with the price underneath it and then the stars underneath it, that's product seller ratings. Underneath your search ads, that's store ratings. So it's different. Seller ratings are only for e-commerce companies. Store ratings are for everybody. Okay, so don't get those two mixed up. So that's it. That's the key things you need to know about this. Know that, yes, it takes some time to get implemented, but once it's implemented, it'll just keep working. You don't need 100 reviews a month. You just need 100 overall, so to say. Okay, it's not like seller ratings where you need a certain amount and you got to keep getting them. Otherwise, the stars will stop showing up, so to say. And, for that matter, I said at the start of this video, anybody can do this. Well, if you cannot get 100 reviews for yourself, that's your problem, because I have not only videos on this channel about how to get more reviews, but in general, with that said, unless you don't have any customers, you have no reason why not to get 100 reviews, because there is software that I just reviewed on a recent video that I made where literally every single person who buys, you can send them an email and an SMS text message that looks personalized, asking them to leave a review. And if it doesn't, it'll keep following up with them until they leave a review, or several times, 3 times, I should say. And this is going to get you a review 10% of the time, at least, depending on your company. The worst scenario would be 5%, but most of the companies that I saw doing this are getting 10 to 30% customer to review rate because it's so effective doing that. You know, if you ask them for a review, you say, hey, I didn't see you left a review. You know, I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this. It looks like a personal text message, even though it's a software doing it. And then, you know, you email them again. Hey, I'm sorry to be a pain, but you know, I didn't see that you left me a review. So it makes them feel guilty for not leaving a review. So, you know, if you're selling, making 50 sales a month, the worst case scenario should be within a year, you have the 100 reviews already. But more than likely, you got some reviews already. And now you just got to get the rest of the way to the 100. But that's what I would recommend there to get your reviews up. Then you can get these stars, then you can get the benefits that the stars provide. So before I get into the case study here, if you haven't taken time to subscribe to this channel yet, what are you doing? Man, you should become a subscriber already because I have the best information on YouTube about how to make money with ads, with all the techniques, all the tricks. And I'm able to do it because I work 80 hours a week to figure out what works and what doesn't work on this channel. And I share exactly what works as well as what doesn't work in what I find in my daily work and my studies for you and for free. You're getting multi-million-dollar a year ad testing and related experience on this channel for free. I spend 40 hours a week on my YouTube channel. I spend hours a week just working on the ad strategy for our clients and testing and just ad testing itself. And therefore the information's valid because most of these jokers on YouTube don't actually manage any ads anymore. They just focus on YouTube. They're a content creator only. And then the information's weak because of that. So subscribe already. And then furthermore, I've got a great blog on my site at guaranteeppc.com/blog where you can find step-by-step information on how to be able to make money with ads. All there for you as well with the screenshots, everything you need to use those strategies. If you like the channel, you're crazy if you also don't want to look at the blog as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here, by the way, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, typically within 24 hours. Beyond that as well, though, you can reach out to me through my Discord group. Link is in the description. You can reach out to me through my site at guaranteeppc.com, of which you can set up a call with me. I do coaching and consulting calls with agency owners and regular companies, both. I also can, tell you what we can do to get your ad results up, given that we do not charge a management fee to our clients until we get them a certain minimum lift in their profitability. We guarantee you a certain minimum lift in profitability, at least, or until we get paid, we're not going to charge a management fee. So if you don't make more money, we don't make more money. If you would like a quote like that, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com and I'd be happy to provide it to you. I'll not only give you a quote on that, but I'll give you an 8-quarter projection of your results with my methods applied to your business. I also have templates available. If you're in a market that we've already been in, I can tell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates, all of it that work for your market, and you utilize those for your business. Just copy paste those into your ad account and get the same results. We had to spend years to figure out how to get to those results in your market accordingly. And for that matter, have worked in hundreds of niche markets, so the chances are quite high I've already got the template you're looking for. And as a result of that, you're going to have the results that you're looking for just by having access to the template, of which I can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front before you even bought the template from us. So if you're interested in that, let me know as well. Going into the case study now. Ultimately, we had a plumber where we implemented this method, and I'm going to start doing this more and more in the future since I learned about this Birdeye trick, which got me inspired to make the video itself. But with that said, we had a plumber, had all the Google business profile reviews, moved him over to the Trustpilot, like I mentioned, which is one of the 30 approved outside review sources that Google has that they look at. It took about a month before the reviews showed up on our test link, as I mentioned before, that you have to look for. And of which the results now on our click-through rate were substantially higher once the stars finally started showing up than before. Before, we had a click-through rate of about 9.3% on our ads on an average basis, not, but 9.3% exactly, I should say. Now, after we had the stars start showing up, from that day on, did a 30-day analysis, compared it to the 30 days before. We went from a 9.3 click-through rate across the board on all our search ads to 11.4%, which, if you're wondering if this shows up on all your ads, for the most part, it either shows up on all your ads or none at all. There's not a guarantee necessarily this is going to show up on your ads, because I've seen before for other clients, it doesn't. Most of the time though, 90% of the time it will show up if you've got the reviews in there and they're right. That right there, baby, is enough reason for you to do this. I shouldn't have to explain anything else, because that in itself is a 22.5% click-through rate increase, of which we're talking a 50% easily increase in profitability from our ads long-term, because this is on there. Especially since, and the reason why I should say, is because the other ads in our market don't have the stars. So maybe if there's other people with stars, you're only going to see a 10% increase. That's the reality. But if there's no other stars, you're looking at 20 or even 30% click-through rate increase by having the stars. Because, what are you going to click on? If you're looking for a plumber, a moving company, whatever the hell you're looking for, there's 4 ads at the top of Google, and you got to decide to pick on one. You're going to read the headline's obviously the most important factor still. Duh. But beyond that, some of these people are going to look at the ads, and they're just going to glance at it real quick. What is going to draw your eye more than anything else? The thing that stands out as different, right? Well, they're going to look at, if you've got stars on and you're in the second placement, they're going to look at this first. And that at least gives you a chance for them to read your headline. So you got to get attention before you can get their interest. So what the stars do is it gets you a higher amount of people focusing on the ad, so they'll read the headline than you had before. You have to admit what's different stands out, and what stands out gets your attention more. So ultimately, same thing with the image that shows up next to the search ad, that is image extensions. If you get that, you get a higher click-through rate because it stands out. This is just another way to stand out. But not only that, okay? Ultimately, if you have good reviews, you have 5 stars, that increases trust like a mother, okay? So, they're going to get you have the one element that makes you make more money here, which is it gets more attention on your ad, so more people actually read it. Second to that, it instills trust, because there's 3 things that they always need to have decide to click on the ad. Do you do what they came to Google for in the first place? Do you cover their area, assuming it applies to you? And do they trust you? That's what they're trying to ask themselves in their head before clicking on your ad. And can they trust you? You can talk about how great you are all day long. Those stars come from a third-party source, and that tells more. What someone says about you is 4 times as powerful, statistically, than what you say about yourself. So you can say you've been in business 30 years, and you should do that, and that works very, very well. But it's nothing like having that with the stars to back that up at the same time. And that'll send your click-through rates through the roof. So anyway, we've had other times where we've had the stars on the ads, and it always increases click-through rates. The question is just simply how much, okay? So, but with that said, it's a lot easier to get this done now. You don't have to have 100 plus reviews on one of these weird review platforms in order to get these stars to show up anymore. Now you just need them on Google, and you can use Birdeye to transfer them over. Yeah, ultimately you have to pay $300 a month for Birdeye to work, but it's worth it, because if you're spending, let's say I'm going to say clearly, if you're spending $3,000 a month or more in ad spend, it's not spending an extra $300 a month to get the stars to show up is just dumb, because you see how much this increases the click-through rate, right? In fact, I want to update that and say, if you're spending more than $1,500 a month, you should be paying for Birdeye. Or if you're cheap, like I am a lot of times still, I'll admit that, then get the reviews from the third-party source and don't use Birdeye. For me, I'm not going to, at least in this situation, I'm not going to waste time getting reviews on an outside platform that nobody's going to see. I'm just going to pay for Birdeye and get them transferred over, get my return. And yes, the return's going to be less than if I would have got the reviews through the third-party platform by itself, but time is money as well. We're only alive for so long. Time and resources that it takes to do that, I'd rather devote that time and resources to something else. Another strategy that I can use that will get me a better return on it, generally speaking. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.